television ratings, higher attendance figures. Ladies and gentlemen, that doesn't come courtesy of a league. It comes courtesy of the players that play in the league. And in her case, she was the most popular, which means she could have helped your bottom line, which means you should have seen that from day one and maximized it. But you didn't do it.
Stephen A. Smith is no stranger to fiery takes, but this time, he didn't just criticize, he ignited a firestorm aimed squarely at the WNBA players and leadership under Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. His comments cut to the heart of a long-standing frustration shared by fans and analysts alike. This wasn't just about a single misstep. It was a rallying cry about how the league has mishandled one of its brightest stars, Caitlin Clark. Picture this, a league with a player so electric, so game-changing, that she single-handedly draws record crowds and smashes viewership numbers in her debut season. Caitlin Clark isn't just a rising star. She's the kind of player who can transform a sport. And yet, instead of riding the wave of her historic success, the WNBA's response has been puzzlingly lackluster. Fans are left asking, is the league building its future, or is it getting in its own way?
You didn't want to, rather. You were a bit hesitant and reluctant and resistant to it. So much so you didn't push for her to be on Team USA. So much so you had people like Cheryl Swoops who didn't even want to mention her name.
But that's just scratching the surface. As we dig into the broader dynamics, a troubling picture emerges. One of a league standing at a critical juncture. Stephen A. isn't mincing words here. What happens if the WNBA keeps missing the mark? What's the cost of ignoring its own momentum?
And everybody talking about other WNBA players not being appreciated. Nobody insulted them. Nobody dismissed their contribution. We were simply saying, despite the contributions for years and years and years, a lot of people didn't care. Fair or not, until Caitlin Clark came along.
When Stephen A. Smith takes the mic, his voice doesn't just echo, it shakes the room. This time, his fiery critique landed squarely on the WNBA, calling out its veteran players and leadership under Commissioner Cathy Engelbert. His issue? The league's glaring failure to properly recognize and capitalize on the meteoric rise of Caitlin Clark, a player whose record-breaking performances have electrified fans and redefined what's possible on the court. Smith didn't mince words, pinpointing a deep-rooted problem that many have whispered about but few have addressed: the growing gap between the talent on the floor and the decisions made in boardrooms. This wasn't a one-off mistake. It was a troubling pattern. How could the WNBA let its brightest star be sidelined in its own narrative?
But if you went the opposite direction, it could have helped that much and facilitated you being in an even stronger position to get yours. But you didn't do it. You didn't do it. Wow.
Some recent examples were the league's deafening silence after Clark won repeated recognitions from Forbes, 30 Under 30, BBC Sports Person of the Year, and the time she was bringing attention to women's sports through her appearances at the LPGA. Despite Clark being a great ambassador to the sport, the WNBA's official channels not only overlooked her historic achievements, but botched them entirely. Fans noticed and didn't hold back. And then there was the celebration of her Rookie of the Year award, or lack thereof. While other awardees received grand gestures, Clark's recognition came via a simple phone call.
They decided that they were going to let her know she was Rookie of the Year with a phone call in Connecticut during a practice before a playoff game. You can't make this up.
What gave Smith's critique even more weight was the truth behind his fiery delivery. Fans and players alike have felt this disconnect, but hadn't always been able to articulate it. This wasn't just about Clark. It was about respect, investment, and a league that seemed uncertain about how to champion its future. Smith went further, highlighting that these weren't just isolated marketing missteps. They were symptoms of a larger issue, an organizational hesitancy to embrace bold moves or amplify star power in a way that reflects modern sports culture. Caitlin Clark isn't just an athlete. She's a phenomenon, drawing must-watch crowds and energizing the fan base. Yet, the league seemed reluctant, even unsure, of how to seize this momentum.
It elevated television ratings, it elevated attendance, and it damn sure elevated franchise value. But now, something that y'all resisted talking about, opining about, acknowledging.
The consequences of this hesitation could be monumental. Smith's frustration wasn't just about one player. It was a warning about the WNBA's future. Fans are demanding transparency, aggressive promotion of their favorite athletes, and a clear commitment to growing the game. Without these elements, even the league's most promising moments risk fading into irrelevance. This isn't just about boosting ratings. It's about showing trust, vision, and the leadership needed to elevate the sport. In today's sports landscape, momentum is everything. Smith's urgent call for change wasn't just another hot take. It was a challenge. Caitlin Clark is a symbol of what the WNBA could achieve, but the league now faces a critical choice: embrace this potential or continue to falter. Will the leadership rise to the moment, or will they need to be replaced for the league to thrive? If you've made it this far and are enjoying the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. We know watching this video takes some of your time, and we appreciate you. Now back to the action.
Then are you willing to admit how stupid it was for y'all not to go all in speaking your piece to elevate Caitlin Clark? So therefore even more attention could have come and y'all could have reaped the benefits? Now you're gonna do it anyway, and I get that, but you see my point?
When Commissioner Cathy Engelbert stepped onto national television, fans and players alike expected a confident voice championing the WNBA's stars and outlining a bold vision for the league's future. What they received instead was a series of puzzling remarks that highlighted a troubling disconnect in leadership. Her appearances on 60 Minutes and CNBC's Power Lunch left many questioning the league's direction. On 60 Minutes, Engelbert was asked about Caitlin Clark's monumental contributions to the game. Her response: "No league's ever about one player."
I noticed when you're asking about Caitlin a lot, you bring up other rookies as well.
No league's ever about one player. That player could get hurt or whatever. So I think it's just to give recognition that in sports, people watch for compelling content and rivalries. And you can't do that alone as one person.
While intended to emphasize the importance of teamwork, the comment inadvertently dismissed the transformative impact Clark had on boosting the league's viewership, fan engagement, and overall visibility. Social media erupted with disappointment as fans saw this as a missed opportunity to celebrate the very player breathing new life into the sport. Engelbert's statements became even more perplexing during her CNBC Power Lunch appearance. Discussing rivalries as a key driver for viewership, she focused heavily on marketing tactics while sidestepping critical issues like player safety and fair treatment. This approach left players and fans alike questioning her priorities. For many, it was a glaring oversight that highlighted a growing dissonance between leadership's messaging and the league's reality.
One white, one black. And so we have that moment with these two. But the one thing I know about sports, you need rivalry. That's what makes people watch. They want to watch games of consequence between rivals. They don't want everybody being nice to one another.
The consequences of this disconnect are profound. While Engelbert speaks about leveraging rivalries to boost ratings, players like Caitlin Clark face inconsistent officiating and physical challenges that could jeopardize their careers. Fans don't want more drama. They demand integrity, fairness, and a commitment to the players who make the league thrive. The lack of attention to these fundamentals risks eroding the trust that is critical for the WNBA's growth.
It's a balance, but certainly from a marketing dollars, but corporate partners are stepping up to endorse these players much more so than they were 5 years ago.
Take, for instance, the infamous officiating inconsistencies. Players and fans have repeatedly voiced frustration over refereeing that veers from overly strict to bafflingly lenient. This unpredictability not only disrupts the game's flow, but creates potential safety risks. When athletes like Clark push the boundaries of the game with aggressive drives and precision plays, they face a heightened risk of injury, compounded by the lack of consistent officiating standards. One glaring example: a technical foul was called on Clark for hitting the ring post, an incident that sparked outrage over its inconsistency across the league.
Hey, Caitlin Clark gets hit with a technical. After
I got a technical for basically being mad at myself because I missed the three and then I went and hit the backboard, and he told me it was disrespectful to the game of basketball.
Let's see if the same call was applied to Diana Taurasi doing the same thing.
And Diana Taurasi, they'll count the bucket. And
these officiating missteps feed into a larger issue: the perception that the WNBA prioritizes optics over substantive improvements. Instead of addressing these glaring problems, the league often leans on marketing-friendly narratives like rivalries to capture attention. But fans are clear: they don't want preferential treatment. They want fairness. The product on the court should shine, not be overshadowed by off-court controversies.
I said Caitlin Clark rising tide lifts all boats. As much as her presence was maximized by the WNBA, you players could have done more to assist it.
Player safety is another area where the league has fallen short. Clark's historic season, filled with high-paced plays and record-breaking performances, highlighted the physical toll the game takes. She faced an alarming number of flagrant fouls, raising red flags among analysts and fans. Yet the WNBA's response has been lackluster, with no significant steps toward improving officiating consistency or implementing better safety protocols. Let's have a look at one of the fouls against Clark, how it was officiated in the WNBA, and how it was officiated in the NBA.
Don't tell me Caitlin Clark gets a special whistle ever again. One call was an ejection and the other was a common foul. Now, let's replay this one more damn time. So I can see right here. This was the exact same damn play. Look, same play, bro. Look at this. Are you serious right here? Boom. Same play.
Crushed by Williams at
Same play.
half-court.
Now, Grant Williams was ejected for that.
Beyond officiating and safety concerns, the league's handling of Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise revealed a deeper problem. Missed opportunities to capitalize on a once-in-a-generation talent. Fans packed arenas and tuned into broadcasts in record numbers, eager to support Clark and the league. Yet merchandise tied to her achievements was scarce, and promotional efforts around her historic season were minimal. This left fans frustrated and sent a disheartening message that while players like Clark excel on the court, the league struggles to deliver off it. Clark's breakout season was more than a highlight reel. It was a moment for the WNBA to redefine itself and capture new audiences. But instead of leaning into this momentum, the league fumbled its chance to show a unified commitment to both its players and its fans. These missteps aren't just disappointing, they're dangerous for a league at a pivotal crossroads. Without meaningful action, the WNBA risks not only squandering its momentum, but alienating the very people who sustain it.
Nobody wants to believe that this league could actually be that dense. Professional league, guys. We're not talking about a rec league. We're not talking about even a high school team. Nobody believes that anybody is that clueless.
The stakes couldn't be clearer. If the league continues to prioritize surface-level gains over deep-rooted change, it will struggle to maintain credibility with both its players and its loyal fan base. Caitlin Clark represents everything the WNBA could achieve. But will leadership step up to the challenge? Or will these unresolved issues cast a shadow over the league's future?
Yeah, the one thing as a very long-term sports fan I know is that officiating and refereeing is always at the top of a fan's list, of the media's list. Obviously, not every, they're humans.
Beyond marketing, the WNBA's approach to player advocacy has faced growing criticism. While rivalries and competitive matchups can generate buzz, they often overshadow the deeper stories, the ones that showcase players' resilience, challenges, and influence beyond the game. Caitlin Clark's meteoric rise was an unprecedented opportunity to highlight these narratives. As an athlete and an advocate, Clark embodies the dual roles many WNBA players take on, balancing fierce competition with meaningful impact in their communities. This was the league's chance to align itself with these powerful stories, but it faltered. Clark's influence wasn't limited to her individual brand. Her performances drew fresh attention to the WNBA's untapped potential, pulling in new fans from college basketball circles and casual sports enthusiasts alike. Her story proved that compelling individual narratives can spark league-wide benefits, engaging audiences far beyond the traditional fan base. So, why wasn't the league ready to harness this moment?
Staying with the WNBA playoffs, let's stay here. Let's just say the ratings aren't the same with Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever now eliminated.
Clark's breakout season underscored the heights the WNBA could reach. Yet, the league's response to this surge of attention revealed critical gaps in strategy. From the underwhelming acknowledgement of her Rookie of the Year award to Commissioner Cathy Engelbert's controversial statements, leadership's missteps have raised uncomfortable questions. Why hasn't the league fully embraced its stars? Why do fundamental issues like player safety and officiating remain unresolved? These are not just isolated concerns. They reflect broader issues that could shape the league's future. Clark's influence wasn't just a spark. It was a signal of what the WNBA could become with proper leadership and vision. Her historic performances revitalized viewership, attracted new fans, and showcased the league's potential to reach new heights. But potential alone isn't enough. Without decisive action, the opportunities presented by this new era risk slipping away.
Well, I knew the atmosphere was going to be electric when they announced Caitlin's name in the dark and the fans went crazy.
Clark's journey is a blueprint for what the WNBA could achieve, a league that celebrates its stars, listens to its players, and evolves with the demands of modern sports culture. The stakes couldn't be higher, but neither could the rewards. A league that prioritizes integrity, fairness, and innovation will not only thrive, but also cement its place in the sports world for generations to come. The time for change is now. Will the WNBA seize this pivotal moment to transform into the league its players and fans deserve? Or will it allow these golden opportunities to fade into history? What do you think? Let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.